My first breathwork encounter was over 11 years ago now on my honeymoon. The encounter with the breathwork back then was a catalyst for starting to kind of figure out myself. You know, with all the yang, you have to have the yin, or with all the go, 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 you have to have the still, still, still. You know, it's this kind of baseline that we can get right and change everything from this kind of like ripple effect.
Before we jump into this episode, I'd love to invite you to join this candid spiritual community to hear more conversations that will help you become happier, healthier, and more healed. All I want you to do is click on that subscribe button because I love your support. I love seeing all the comments pouring through, all the love pouring through, and we're just getting started. I can't wait to go on this journey with you, whether you're a spiritual seeker or you're just curious about the topic. And we really hope that our conversations will provide you food for thought and inspiration for your own spiritual journey. So join us for honest, candid discussions about spirituality for soul's sake.
For soul's sake. For soul's sake.
Hello and welcome to this special episode of For Soul's Sake, a conversation, a discussion, an opportunity. Today we're going to do some meditation with the wonderful, the incredible Rob Rea. I feel just by being in your presence, you're quite a high on your supply kind of guy.
Thank you very much. That's quite some introduction.
Yeah.
I'll try to live up to it.
No, yeah. It's incredible. How did you fall into this path? Like, what was the journey? What's the path to the present?
Yeah, the journey was quite funny, I suppose. My first breathwork encounter was over 11 years ago now on my honeymoon, and I was in Bali in Indonesia, and I remember being at that time, you know, probably still am, my wife will tell you, but like quite a type A, you know, do all the time. Let's just get always on the go type of person.
What were you doing at that time in your life?
Funny enough, I was working in finance for, that was probably my 5th year in finance. I just quit just before we got married.
Wow.
And then I moved into the fashion world. So I all of a sudden started having a lot more time, and I was really in what I look back on now as one of probably the most transitional phases of my life. And I've no doubt now looking back, although I didn't realize it at the time, that the encounter with the breathwork back then was a catalyst for starting to kind of figure out myself throughout the next decade, which has kind of led me to, I suppose, right now sitting here, I'm a big believer in innocuous, seemingly unimportant events just having kind of cataclysmic impact in your life later on.
Creating small impressions.
Yes. Very much so. So I was in Bali and did a yoga class. Well, I was sold it as a yoga class. And I thought, okay, yeah, I mean, I can do press-ups.
I'm in Bali.
Yeah. I mean, it's 8 a.m. on my honeymoon. I'm not too happy about this, but but yeah, I'll go do this chaturanga and press-ups and all this stuff. And well, that's what I thought I was signing up for. And I just remember him kind of, the teacher, wonderful, kind of very kind, calm soul, just saying, sit down, say nothing, do nothing. I was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And like continuing, that 1 minute passed and felt like a year, you know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And I'm kind of like all sorts of resistance going on. Like, what am I doing on my honeymoon, on my, like 8 a.m.? Like, I shouldn't be sitting here to like at least go to the gym and sweat or something, you know. And at some stage during that kind of silence, not even doing breath work at this point, he said, you know, breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose, do a little retention. And maybe, I don't know how long passed, 25 minutes. And at one moment I was kind of in this other state and kind of feeling like, whoa, if somehow something's happening. There's
Consciousness
something,
changing.
consciousness changing, exactly. And that was, I suppose, the catalyst to start to explore that world more, not knowing ever that at that stage I was going to end up being a breathwork coach, I suppose I said, or helping people with using breathwork to achieve certain outcomes that they're wanting to achieve. Yeah, It was, and that was 1 hour. I went every 8 a.m. every morning, became friendly.
That's
with
my
it.
honeymoon.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know what you're doing, but that's what I'm doing.
Wow.
Yeah, I loved it. And that, it was that kind of transition between, whenever I started looking at this kind of idea, the duality of life, and, you know, with all the yang, you have to have the yin, or with all the go, 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 you have to have the still, still, still. My journey with it has kind of started to explore how much creativity or dynamism there is in that element of stillness. That's kind of what really, really fuels me to do it, to find, not necessarily with the objective to say, okay, I want to achieve this state today, because that in a way is kind of ego driven and a way of trying to control whatever is going to come up. But I mean, with the world, with everything that's happening in the world that's so heavy these days, to give yourself that space is fundamentally really important for me. It's how, throughout the years of traveling over the past decade, I've lived in many different countries, to kind of create that same internal world whilst the external world is changing. It's kind of always given me like a safety space within my head that I can kind of go back to. I can do the same breathing. I start to kind of pull all those levers that are like, this is me in my calm state. And from there, then I can get very clear with what I'm feeling, am I on it today? Am I off it today? And if I'm off it, then I've kind of come to the conclusion that it's okay to chill out as well, and not always, have
Be
this
100%.
idea. Yeah, be 100%. Like, rest doesn't have to be earned.
Rest doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I struggled with that for a long time, because it was like, if I was sitting there chilling out, it's like, you're a waster. Working within the kind of fashion industry as well, going from a very corporate 9 to 5 initially, I would have struggled with that anyway. Just this kind of whole status thing of, okay, like maybe I'm only working once, twice a month or something like that.
Wow.
So you have a lot of time, and then within that, there's a lot of rumination, a lot of habitual thinking, a lot of obsessive thinking. And I suppose I just always looked at different ways to examine how I'm interacting with myself within those times, and that is breath work for me, and it's something that I really want to share and encourage other people to look at. But it doesn't have to be breath work.
And your family, they're on board, and I mean your parents, your siblings.
My mum's incredibly open. That's probably where I get it from. My dad's kind of the polar opposite of that. So
really?
Yeah, he's the guy who's like, why do I need to breathe? I'm 80 odd years old. I've been breathing all my life, Yeah. And he'll still say that. He'll say that forever, I'm supposing.
Yeah.
But I think he can definitely see. I mean, he's a stressed man himself.
Oh, really?
So I often find people probably like that are the ones who benefit most from the breath work. I've been really fortunate that I've shared some breathwork experiences now with my mum, and
how she found it.
Well, breathwork, I suppose, comes in all sorts of forms nowadays, and I suppose I can tell you a wee bit about that. But one of the ones that I'm looking at currently is this transformational type breath, and within this breathwork, we can get into a state where emotions can run high, and there can be a lot of catharsis. So I shared this with my mum, and we took it really easy, because I know how intense and profound this breathwork can be, and we only did it for maybe 20 to 25 minutes. But even within that, there was a beautiful experience and connection.
Wow.
that happened.
Was it strange doing it with your mum? Because like, even for me sharing my practice with mum, it's I mean, this is someone that's seen me in my diapers, so for me to share something that's...
I find, I can usually, whenever I'm doing workshops with bigger groups, I'm also careful not to try to try to also protect my own kind of entity as well, and not like give everything and take everything on from all the energy in the room. As I'm sure you're, acutely aware, you can the energy can be powerful whenever there's a full room of people sharing an experience. And so normally I can try to create that presence, two separate entities and presence between me and a client. Whenever it was my mum, of course, there's this huge emotional bond, and immediately I could see that she was going through her own experience within the breathwork. I hope she won't mind me saying. And of course, it was very difficult for me to disconnect from that. So I was kind of extremely emotional too, and we kind of felt like this. There was this exchange going on during it. So yeah, it's one of those ones now that I don't know whether I would really love to do with a lot more of my kind of very dear and loved ones.
Yeah.
Some of my siblings have come to a few of my workshops when I fly back to Belfast to do workshops there, and they've had good intense experience, meaningful stuff. Yeah, and I think they were a bit surprised because I would probably put them in the cynic boat whenever it comes to talking about breath work as a tool to be able to change things.
I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that you come from a quite anatomical, neurological background, because you seem to work a lot with the central nervous system. And
yeah, that's very true. I suppose I'm really kind of pulled to, I suppose, the right brain, or the intuitive, the felt, the experience, the emotion. Actually, probably that would be where I would feel more strongly. But I understand that in a society as we are in today, there are also a lot of people need to feel that there is science. I mean, science is a verb. It's continually being proved and disproved. That is the nature of it. I understand, but I wanted to understand also, potentially from a physiological point of view, what is actually happening, and so that was important to me to start to understand that. Now, bearing in mind, of course, yogis in the Himalayas have been doing breathwork for 15,000, 20,000 years. Inherently, they knew that there was, without having to explain to us on a biological level, that carbon dioxide is doing this and oxygen is doing that. They fundamentally knew that it was good for them to do it at certain times of the year. And I think I really, what drove me was initially getting into the pranayama side of breath work, which is the yogic science of breath and body. And soon after, I was in the States for a while, and then that was whenever I connected with some guys who were working on breath work for lung capacity and its relation to stress and panic, because it was freedivers and surfers. So of course, yeah, that was I suppose a wrong move with under the water, 30 meters under the water, and there is huge amounts of stress, and it's the life and death. And so I really got to grips with how it actually affects our biology. And I think that really helped me to understand and realize that the concrete benefit of this on our body if we do it every day, or if we do it even 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes a week. But I'm always at pains to say to people that looking at breath work purely from the science, neurological, anatomical point of view, it can still be quite a one-dimensional way to look at it, because it neglects the felt sense, the nuance, the subtleties, and the emotions that can come up within the spaces between the breath. And that's what fascinates me, to get to those little aha moments whenever we can talk about this conceptually, but I suppose once you're into even a 6-minute breath work, you might just have that moment where you're like, whoa, something, I am feeling like I'm going into a deeper layer of understanding or knowing or watching, whatever that might be, but there is something that's happening.
Do you feel that the emotional nuance that's kind of more appreciated by a female audience, a feminine audience?
Definitely. Yeah, I would love more men to be coming to the sessions, and experiencing it for themselves. I definitely feel that there is potentially a more openness within the female audience, and I get most of the DM inquiries or the inquiries that I get. Well, funnily enough, they're men.
Really?
They're asking about it and they're saying, "What is this breath work?" And like, if I was to come, what would happen? But it's fundamentally whenever the doors open, it's women who walk in the door.
There's kind of still a stigma attached to men exploring their emotions, and
I think
even
so.
though there's more opportunity for it, I think there's always going to be a kind of divide of, no, that's not for me. It's
Yeah.
something that my wife will do.
Yeah, 100%. And then so
It's changing, but
I think it's changing, and that's not to say there are some guys who come in and they've had tremendous experiences with the breath work, but I do think that there is an opportunity there. Actually, for my next breath work, it's obviously Movember, so I'm going to offer a discount
cool.
for men to come and experience it as well. I think the more that the people do kind of bring it in, some of the men that I'm working with are more interested in breath work for performance. How to maybe
surfers and divers.
Sir, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. And it's this idea of can you make me hold my breath for longer then, and I'll get to the 2-minute mark, 5-minute mark, whatever it might be.
Performance.
Yeah, performance. And I love that dialogue that we can have whenever we work together on a closer basis. Like, why do you think, can we ask the question as to why you need to validate yourself through the performance? What's that underlying? That's what I'm interested with in the breath work. I think,
Interesting.
yeah, that's the psychology, I suppose, behind whenever we're starting to do the breath, and the reflection or the journaling that you can do after doing the breath work.
I'd love to do a breathwork with you. Do you have something that we can do for
I do actually.
3 or so minutes?
Yeah, I can indeed. Yeah,
Can I ask everyone that's listening to this podcast that if you're in a safe place and you're not driving, maybe you're on the tube, or you got 3 to 5 minutes away from kids, or a moment, I'd like you to really be with us here and now. So I'm going to invite Rob to take us away. Tell us what we're doing.
Okay, so in this one, we're going to keep it really, really
Do
calm.
I take my shoes off?
You can just sit with the spine straight, but probably would be my favorite thing. If you want to take your shoes off, yeah, even better. That's lovely. Just get comfortable. You can close the eyes down. We're going to do a cadence.
What do I do with my hands?
Hands can be on your knees or palms up, whichever feels more
Cool.
comfortable for you.
I'm going to try the palms up.
Mm-hmm. We're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. It's going to be cadence breathing, which is a beautiful one to do, as you say, if you've got 3 or 4 minutes free or just before bed. It's in for 3, it's hold for 3, it's out for 6, and it's hold for 3. So breathe in through the nose, out through the nose, and then come with me. Inhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold, 2, 3, inhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold, 2, 3, in, hold, out, hold, inhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold, 2, 3, inhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold, 2, 3, inhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 2, 3. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. 2, 3. Hold. 2, 3. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 2, 3. Last 2. Inhale. 2, 3. Hold. 2, 3. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 2, 3. Last one. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Whenever you need to come back to your natural rhythm of breathing, breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the nose. The after effects of these types of breaths are a beautiful moment to sit within the stillness. We've actually reduced the excitability of your brain. Thinking more clearly, to create space for regeneration, repair, creativity. And you can blink the eyes open when you feel you're ready. Remember that you're in a conversation. Doing okay?
Doing good. Yeah, I'm very, like you said, I'm feeling clarity,
Yeah.
thoughts, clarity.
Yeah, this is a really, really beautiful breathwork exercise that you can do before sleep's really, really nice. After, to kind of switch from the day to the evening. Whenever you get home from work, in the car, before you actually go into the house, if it's a stressful house, all these things can kind of reset your baseline level. And what we're doing there, really, as well as bringing breath retentions in, which have so many physiological benefits, we're also giving ourselves that moment for peace. But the average adult may breathe between 12 to 15 breath cycles per minute. The stressed adult is anywhere from 14 to 22 and above, and that's kind of over breathing. That this is has all sorts of negative impacts on your whole system, and therefore not only your system but your psychology, your mind as well. In actual fact, with this cadence breath which we're doing, it's 3 seconds in, 3 seconds hold. It's 6 seconds, 6 second out. That's another 12 seconds. Plus 3 second hold, 15 second. So we're already kind of slowing it down to 4 breaths per minute. So if you can imagine, I sometimes wear this wearable tech, and I can see that my normal respiratory rate is what it's called, is 12 breaths per minute. So I'm like, okay, right, that's just normal. Obviously, the more that I practice, and if I go through a month of, say, doing cadence for 2 to 3 minutes a day, that starts to fall down to 8 and 9.
You mean on your average breathing day?
On my average breathing day, yeah. So obviously, it's pretty unrealistic that unless you're a highly tuned athlete, and even a lot of athletes won't be hitting the kind of 4 to 6 mark. But if you
4 to 6 breaths a minute.
Yeah, can you imagine?
And that average, just normal breathing.
In their average normal breathing.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's I work with a singer and a triathlete who have huge lung capacity. You know, one's male, one's female, and they're both different sizes, and it's incredible that lung capacity isn't anything to do with the size of the person. You know, and they can take an inhale, and they're still inhaling on 15 seconds. I mean, I can inhale, and after about 9 seconds, I can really feel like I'm almost up the top of my.
I almost want to test myself now.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Isn't it?
But I was like, I'm not into performance. I'm into like the spiritual. No, I want to get competitive.
Yeah. And this is you really can do, especially whenever I work with some companies. This is a very interesting one because people generally will put their hand up at, you know, I was 14 breaths per minute, or I was 16 breaths per minute, and by the end of it, we are able. You know, you can do that cadence breath for say 3 minutes, and as you know now, we're actually 4 breath cycles per minute. But actually, after that, whenever you just return to your normal breathing, your breath will have naturally slowed down because we started to connect.
Yeah, I've noticed my breathing has slowed down.
Yeah, and it will, and it's
interesting because it's understood that in the Vedic scriptures, it's understood that each person has a set number of breaths.
Yes, of course, per
life. Like,
yes,
you know,
yes.
and so
yeah,
I'm going to live longer.
Yeah.
This is it.
This is it. 100%.
The secret to a longer life, people.
They say, you know, there was a study on longevity of life and lung capacity and community, where the two things that
Lung capacity and community.
Yeah,
Okay.
were the two things that were most indicative of a longer life.
Oh wow, community and lung capacity.
Mm-hmm. So we breathe together.
Give
we're
up the
doing
diet, people.
Give up the diet.
Give up the gym.
We're getting it all wrong.
Yeah.
We're caring about what we eat, what we drink, but no one's thinking about how we breathe, you know?
Because that's really, you know, it's interesting because when you're eating a really heavy meal, you breathe a lot more. Like
definitely.
And that means that,
and
life errors are going.
Yeah, and again, you know, what you're eating obviously creates acidity or alkalosis within the body. That has
Based
an impact on how much you want to breathe, because carbon dioxide within your body makes it more acidic.
My interest is starting to peak now.
Yeah, we
go.
can talk more about it. There's no doubt. I can talk for days on this stuff. And what I find fascinating is that by correcting your breathing, you're correcting the state within your body in that acidic state or non-acidic. And as a result, your appetite can change, as you're not as hungry because you're not craving those foods necessarily.
Whoa.
So it has, you know, it's this kind of baseline that we can get right and change everything from this kind of like ripple effect out.
And it really helped in your guiding as well. Like, might be the Belfast accent, but it was just really calming. Like, I was like, okay, could I see myself doing this tomorrow? Yes, but I did like having a guide, someone that was kind of walking me through it, and just even the counting. Because initially, if I'm honest, I was just listening to the counting and I was counting with you.
Yeah.
And after, when you stopped the counting, I was like, okay, now just feel the sensation of the air as you breathe in.
Exactly, yeah.
Then it was like, okay, how are you feeling? What's your mental state? And you said, yeah, you noticed some clarity. I said, yeah, I'm noticing clarity in my thought. And by the end of it, I felt, quite peaceful in a nice state of consciousness. So interesting, huh? We've got all the tools within.
We do. We have all the tools within, but I do understand. You know, even I sometimes put in my own recordings to listen to, so that I've got the count, because sometimes I don't want to think, okay, I'm going to hold my breath now for 20 seconds. I want to kind of get into the process, I suppose, if you want to call it that. And
I feel like it was nice there wasn't any music as well. Like, it was just very Puritan, very
yeah.
And because we're in a soundproof room, there was no sound that was disturbing me.
Beautiful stillness. Yeah, I could feel the calmness. Yeah.
Nothing that I felt was going to drop at any moment.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. What would be your advice to someone that's looking now to up their breathwork journey? Like, okay, they've just done a minute and a half or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, or I don't know how long that was.
Yeah.
But what would be their next step? Where would they go next?
Listen,
any teachers you recommend? How often are you in London?
Yeah, I live here in London, and I'm really, really happy to say that this is kind of what I'm dedicating everything to at the minute. So I've actually just released a self-paced online course.
Oh, nice!
Literally
on demand.
On demand, yeah. So it's kind of on your own pace. You can just do it. You know, my brother's got 5 kids under the age of 10. is work shift work, and he was actually in my head whenever I was doing it, because I'm very fortunate. I can get up in the morning, do a little bit of movement, do my training, and an hour and a half later I'm like, oh, I feel very peaceful. Everyone should do breath work, because this is how we should live. But
not everyone has that.
Not everyone has that, and most people do not, unfortunately. And so what I wanted to do was create something that was available and accessible. So it's just like, as you say, it's like essentially for anyone who's wanting to delve a little bit deeper. And number one for me is like connection to the breath, and therefore the body, and awareness of your breath. How am I breathing at any given moment? Because that's kind of what we were talking about there. You know, how many breaths am I actually doing a minute? Is my inhale longer than my exhale? Is it noise? Is it noisy? Is it silent? Does it feel kind of mechanical? Does it feel smooth? All these questions are absolutely amazing just to start to actually go more introspective. And my idea was that if we can start to build that connection and awareness to the breath and to the body, then we can, from that kind of base, start to build and say, okay, now I know, okay, it is noisy, it is this, I am kind of feeling a little bit tired or not energetic today. Then we look at maybe how to lift the state up. How do we raise our state? How do we actually get out of that sluggish mood? If I've slept terribly and I know that I've got a big meeting at 9 a.m., can I do a certain breath work for 4 or 5 minutes? And, I feel much more ready and able to go in and present myself in the best possible way. And equally, the inverse of that, how if I'm really ramped up and I've had a really stressful day and 6 meetings in a row and lots going on, can I manage to somehow turn it down a dial and switch off in the evening? And that would be like the cadence type breathing. And how do I use my exhale versus how do I use my retention?
That's all on the on demand.
Yeah, this is all on the on demand.
Wow, different types of breathing at different times of day,
exactly.
Different moods. Is there anything like the history? Like, because I don't really know so much about pranayama. I know tiny bits.
Yeah, exactly. Well, within this course, I don't go into the history of breath so much. That I do, I work with people in workshops, one-to-ones, and I do specific pranayama classes for people who want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into the kind of ancient scriptures and where those have come from, and or where breath has come from to kind of get us to this point.
Incredible.
It's no doubt to me, having kind of looked at it from that anatomical, neurological point of view that you talked about, that so much of the breath work, the functional breath work that it might be called today, that surfers and freedivers might use, there's no doubt the base is pranayama, and there's you almost can't talk about one without the other.
Wow, incredible. Well, I mean, I'm excited for people to go on their breathwork journey with you. It should be good fun. Let me know in the comments section whether you do check out Rob and how the experience is with continuing a breathwork journey from here on, or what was your experience of just doing that 3-minute breathwork just now? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I want to finish up with some quick fire round questions.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, I'm always up for that.
Up for a little quick fire. It's 1 sentence, 1 word-ish.
Okay.
Answers. Here we go. Question number 1. What's something that you're curious about in your life right now?
My productivity is my productivity linked to my feeling of worthiness. Sorry, it's so deep, I know, but I'm focusing on this idea of like, is rest earned? I think I said it at the beginning, and I think it's very poignant for me at the minute, because I'm one of these people who's like, a good day is a day whenever I've
mad productive,
but why is that? What's the point? What's the crack with that? Like, why do I have to be productive to feel like good or worthy or anything? So I'm diving into that within the breathwork session.
Let me know how that works out. I'd love to know. I'm feeling like I'm in the same boat.
Thank you.
Cool. What's the second one? What's something you're personally working through at the moment?
Sorry, something came into my head there, and I was like, "Shall I share that or not?" My wife and I unfortunately just lost a baby. So thank you so much. I mean, I understand how common this is. but
Your first?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's we've been very fortunate in our lives up until now, and this has been the kind of, and she's a superstar, my wife, but it's definitely been something that that we've had to work through together, and it's probably the saddest point of my life, up until now. So to have to deal with that and to see what comes up, it's very easy to talk about breathwork, especially when everything's going good. Use breathwork for your performance, for your lung capacity, for all that stuff. I suppose the harder times are whenever going deeper into yourself is uncomfortable and confronting and sad.
The easy path is to go down to something that's less helpful, probably.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. So working through that, but we're coming out the other side.
Well, for what it's worth, I'm praying that, that you're filled with spiritual strength, and that, you and your wife together can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and see
Thank
that
you so much.
there's a lot of joy waiting for you on the other side.
I'm sure. Yeah, thank you,
A lot
sir.
more to come, and please, if you're a praying person, then please also send Rob and his good wife your
Thank you.
best wishes.
That's really, really kind.
Collective community prayer,
There's
it
no
works.
doubt.
In short, what legacy would you like to leave behind in this world?
I think, to be honest, I'm not big into legacy. I'll be honest with you. I just want to kind of, like, the people that I do interact with and touch, I hope that I leave them feeling calm, nice, good. Whether there's a legacy is for me pretty irrelevant. But I hope that the people that I interact with in the here and now are feel like better after leaving me.
You create a positive influence.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I would hate to kind of have a negative impact on someone. I think if you're doing anything important in life, you're not going to please everyone, and you're not going to, and that's not going to be the case. But I hope that it's at least there's a positive feeling from being with me, and then legacy I'm okay with.
This is our first conversation together in person, and I feel intuitively you're a very kind person, a very gentle soul, and someone that wants to offer something beneficial to people. And so I think you're definitely, your character shows that, and your first impression is that. And so you're definitely doing it. You're leaving a legacy already.
Thank you so much.
Question number 4: something you used to deeply value but don't value as much anymore.
Oofed. Something I used to deeply value. Yeah.
He's thinking whether to share it or not, and he's got an answer.
I suppose deeply value. Gosh, you've stumped me. I really don't know. I feel like with everything, we change and we evolve all the time. And so, definitely more things that I value more is living across in London here now. I go home to Belfast, and, I'm aware that parents and family are getting older. And so maybe I've flipped the question. I understand that, but, maybe I didn't used to take into account just how important those times were with family, and maybe now I only go home twice a year, 3 times a year. So I think about that quite a lot, in the sense of as time passes on, that might only be 20 more meetings with certain people,
Wow.
In my life who I love, So I think family has become a lot.
Drop him a message after this conversation.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Just send him a message, say I was thinking about you.
Yeah.
Talked about you a lot in the podcast, Dad.
Yeah.
Mum and Dad, I'm thinking of you.
Yeah, totally.
Do it. You never know, it's like that.
No, you're quite right.
Yeah.
Quite right.
I saw this Instagram meme or something that said, if you receive messages from these two people, then you're very fortunate. And it's like one which is a screenshot of mum calling and the other screenshot of dad calling. I was like, yeah, I wonder how many conversations, exactly how you said it, I wonder how many more conversations I'm going to have with those two people that I do value so much. So yeah, just make the most of it when you get them in it.
Yeah.
Probably get sick of it after some time and then give it some break.
Yeah.
But then again,
Yeah.
value it more.
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
you.
Yeah, I think that's what's the nice thing about living in London and being able to go home for a couple of days.
Yeah,
You can kind
value
of
it
just
more.
soak it up a wee bit, and then you can also let get away again.
Yeah, got you.
Mm-hmm.
And last question. If you could create one law that everyone had to follow in this world, what would it be?
Just be kind, eh? Be kind. So much polarization, hatred, everything going on. Just, I think genuinely, if people just had to be kind to each other, would have a massive impact.
I agree.
So be kind is a big one that I'm thinking about these days, and I still haven't kind of ever thought of one a law like, you know, we would ask ourselves these questions sometimes, and there's kind of doesn't seem to be any downside to be kind.
I don't think so either. Thank you so much, Rob. This has been an incredible conversation.
Thank you so much.
I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's
I've really
been
enjoyed it.
the message that you've sent out is, live longer, breathe. Kindness is definitely for sure, you know, you embody that so nicely. But I really hope that people take away from this conversation a method, a way in which they can relieve the immediate stress of life, because it's already within you. You don't have to go externally and find. I mean, some people are always telling me, I'd love to try ayahuasca and this substance and that substance. I'm like, yeah, sure, but the bliss is already within.
Yeah.
You know, so get higher in your own supply.
That's it, exactly. It's all within us.
It's all within. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for being with us. If you found this conversation useful, then share it with a friend. Just click that share button now. Get the link, put it in your WhatsApp and send it to all your friends, send it all to your family. I'd love to hear what they think about it. I'd love to hear what you had to experience in this conversation. Maybe the meditation, maybe that breathwork opportunity was really valuable for you. Do go check out Rob's stuff, and I'd love to see you on the next episode of A Soul's Sake. See you then.
If you loved this episode, you'll absolutely love my interview with Londrell on finding God in the present, being here, being now. Go check it out.
The best advice to be here, be now. It's like it's all here and you can't escape it.
Yeah, right.
The worst advice is be here, be now. It's all here and you can't escape it. And so you take the good with the bad and just be here. At the end of the day, just be here. It works both ways.
Yeah.
But it works for the greater good.
Beautiful.